Want to know something crazy? I used to suck at the SAT. Every time that I did like a practice test or something like that, it always felt like right off the bat, I already had no time. I was confused, I didn't know the content, and before I knew it, the time was up and the test was over. I had to turn it in, and I kept getting bad grades because of this. But I was able to change my ways. I went from a total score of a 1270 on my first PSAT that I took, all the way up 300 points to a 1570 on my final SAT that I took last year. Now the breakdown by subsection is that on the reading and writing section, I went up 120 points from 650 to 770. And then on the math section, I went up from 620 up 180 points to a perfect 800 score. The good news is that you can do this too. And I want to show you in this video using 3 steps that I went through that hopefully can help you do the same thing absolutely for free and completely on your own with no outside help. So the first step that I did was finding my starting position. Now what this looks like is through 2 different ways. The first way that you can find your starting position is based off of a previous score. So this is just like if I were to go off of my first PSAT that I took, the 1270, that would be my starting position. Another way is to do a recent practice test. So that means just right now you want to see where you are, you'll take another practice test, and then you'll have a very accurate reminder of where you are currently. Now, the difference between the two is that using a previous score, so like a test you already took, is that it's quick and easy because you already have a number, you already did the practice test. But then doing the practice test right now, it's going to be a little bit harder, obviously, because you have to take the test, but it's going to be more accurate because you took it more recently and you actually know that it's where you're at right now. Once you have your starting position, you want to use that to create a realistic goal score. Now, this is going to be based on stuff like the time until your test. So whether you have a year, 2 years, or 10 days until your upcoming test, that's going to have a pretty big impact on how much you want to be able to improve. Also things like your study habits and how much free time you have. So if you're in finals week, that's going to look very different from how much you can improve compared to if it's the middle of summer and you have basically unlimited free time. So now moving on, you know your starting position, you have your goal score. The next step is to actually use this formula that I made to figure out how much time you need to study per day. The formula looks like this. So you're going to do 3 plus the amount of free time that you have. You're going to multiply this by the improvement score you want to do. And then on the bottom, you're going to have 20 times the number of days. So the free time is on a scale of 1 to 3. The improvement is your goal score minus the baseline score, because that will give you the total improvement. And then the number of days is just until the test that you want to have that improved score on. So working through an example, let's say that you have a moderate amount of free time. That's going to be a 2, so we'll plug in the 2 over there. And then let's say that our goal score is a 1450, and we just took a practice test and got a 1250. So that's going to mean that our improvement is going to be 1450 minus 1250, which is just a 200-point improvement. And then on the bottom, we're going to have 20 times the number of days, which is 40. So in this example, we have 40 days until our test. So if you actually just plug this equation into a calculator, it works out to be 1.25, and this is represented in the number of hours per day that you need to study. So in my community, I actually have an automatic planner that does this for you. So you can see on here, you just put in the numbers, and then it'll tell you your position in different areas, and it'll tell you how much you need to study the different sections. And you can actually do multiple practice tests throughout this, and it'll give you updated sort of stuff. But of course, you can just plug in numbers to an equation on your own. This is just a little tool that I built for my customers to make it just, a little bit easier. So what this equation does is it actually works out to be 20 to 30 hours per 100-point increase, which means that for every 100 points that you want to improve your score, you're going to total volume have to study for 20 to 30 hours. And then, of course, the equation is going to break it up into how much you need to study daily. The most important part now is that you have the amount of time that you need to study per day. Hopefully by now you've paused the video, actually figured out this stuff that you need to know how much you need to study per day. So the most important thing to do once you have that number is to actually put it into your calendar. So if you don't have a Google Calendar, I highly recommend getting that or some other sort of calendar app where you can actually track like what you do throughout the day. Even if it's not like every minute, you just want to put in like the big events that you want to make sure you get to. And so it's very important you actually add this into your calendar so that you have a reminder, and you can get the app on your phone, set reminders. Sometimes I'll do that if there's something I'm really trying to do every day at the same time. But bottom line is, for most people, if you don't add this into your schedule or into your calendar, you're just not going to get around to it because it's not going to be fun. But you do have to study if you want to improve, obviously. You can run all these numbers and do all these practice tests, but bottom line is that if you don't put in the volume of studying, you're not going to improve your score. So the third and final step is the time delegation. Now, for this, all you have to do is ask yourself, are you more of a math or are you more of a reading/writing type person? Then from there, all you're going to do is study more on the other topic. So for example, I'm more of a math person, so I studied a lot more on reading and writing than I did on math. I essentially worked math until I could consistently get perfect scores, and then I had essentially maxed out that section, and there's no reason to study more on that. So if you have a perfect or near perfect score on one of the sections, or you just do a lot better on it and you're not going to improve much more, it makes a lot more sense efficiency-wise to study more for the other topic. Next, once you have this broad idea of whether you're a math or a reading person, what you want to do is look at the actual topics. So what you're looking at here is every single topic that's on the SAT. This is literally the SAT in front of you. This is anything that they could throw at you is on here. And as you can see, on the left is all the different math stuff, and then on the right is all the different reading and writing stuff. It works out to be about 30 total different topics. And this is literally copy and pasted from the College Board website about the new digital SAT. So this is literally straight from the people who write the test. The best way, in my opinion, is to do 1 month cycles where essentially every day you do one of the 30 topics and you dive really deep into that topic. So you can literally work it down like a list based on the slide that I just showed, where on day 1 you do the first topic, day 2 you do the second topic, day 3 you do the third, and so on. And then obviously, if after 1 or 2 of these cycles you realize that there's a topic you really just don't need to spend another day on, you can cut it out, shorten your cycle, get more studying in the time that you have. Now, once again, on my online community, I actually have a tool that does this for you, where I basically have practice tests that are on Google Forms, and then my students fill them out. It automatically emails them personalized results that shows them how well they did on different topics, and then from there they can put in their goal score, and it kind of does the same thing as the previous thing, that I showed that my community does. But this one has the added feature of showing the breakdown by topic, and also the other one has the added feature of being able to do multiple in a row, so you can actually track your progress over time. And now, if you are not wanting to join my community, totally fine, I understand. You can get by just fine on your own. I just like to make things easier for people. But if you just want to study on your own, it's literally just as simple as going on YouTube and looking up whatever the topic is. So for example, linear functions, and then SAT or digital SAT 2024 or whatever you want to say. So it's literally just as simple as going on YouTube, looking up linear functions SAT or cross-text connections SAT, and then you just watch the videos. A lot of the time they'll have linked practice, and you're just going to practice a ton for the whole day, however many hours you have to. Now, if you want to have every single topic covered extensively, then once again, in my community, I have courses over every single different topic at every single difficulty level. So when they're scoring the SAT, they actually score things differently based on easy, medium, and hard problems. And so in my community, I have beginner, intermediate, and expert type courses for both math and reading and writing. And as you can see, they're actually broken up into the more broad topics. So we have things like algebra, advanced math, problem solving and data analysis, and geometry and trig. For example, that's the math one. And it's broken down to have every single topic within each of those broader topics inside. So you have guaranteed lessons and coverage over every single topic that can be covered on the SAT. And I kind of just have videos in there where I explain a couple problems, and then there's linked practice stuff so you can practice on your own as well. So now hopefully using those 3 steps of finding your starting position, and then using the formula to figure out daily study habits, and then finally figuring out how you need to break up that time, then now at least you have a plan to move forward. And although you still have all the hard work in store for having to actually study, at least now you should have a pretty solid groundwork of how you're going to move forward with studying for the SAT.